Hi, my name is Dr. David Beihl. I'm a pediatric hospitalist physician, and something interesting happened recently while I was on call. I got an emergency call to attend a emergency C-section delivery of a 33-week premature baby. The mom had been sitting at home for 2 hours with severe abdominal pain, not knowing that her placenta was separating from her body. And the problem is when the placenta separates from the uterus, that's the only thing that keeps that baby alive, and the baby will die without an emergency C-section. So mom finally came in after 2 hours, and we were hurrying to save the baby's life. The heart rate monitor that keeps track of the baby's heart rate stayed on until the last possible moment when they were making the incision, and then it had to come off. But when that monitor was being taken off, it showed the heart rate was so low that that baby would be getting CPR if it were outside the mom. And then we had a couple minutes of no information, and then they brought me a baby that had no pulse and not breathing and very pale, which is a problem because babies whose moms had a placental abruption lose an awful lot of blood sometimes, and so we're very concerned for the life of this child. So we started the appropriate resuscitation following the neonatal resuscitation protocol that is used in hospitals across our country. And for 13 minutes, this child had no pulse and no spontaneous breathing despite our best efforts. And so I was very concerned. And at this moment, I was impressed that this would be a good time to pray to God in heaven and ask for some help. And so I earnestly prayed, not out loud, but in my mind, to God, asking for help to save the life of this child who's gone without a detectable heart rate or spontaneous breathing for 13 minutes. And immediately thereafter, we detected a heart rate that we hadn't detected earlier. And we had to keep doing chest compressions for a minute, and then we didn't need to do those anymore. And we kept giving some breaths because those are still necessary, and the child came off of the positive pressure ventilation and still needed a lot of help. It took 2 hours to wind up the care that this child needed, but I was still concerned because having gone without a heartbeat for 13 minutes could be very dangerous to the brain. And so I explained this to the child's family, that we had done the best that we could, but that we not yet sure about what would happen. And they understood that. And what I found most encouraging about this story was that the newborn specialist, who was not at this small, isolated hospital, but who was present in a larger city, informed us later. He said, "This child appears neurologically normal. It's like nothing happened." And we just thank God for hearing my prayer after 13 minutes of no heartbeat and no breathing and looking awfully pale, that God was merciful and heard my prayer. So I am encouraged by Bible verses like this one in the book of Acts, chapter 2:21, that says, "Whoever will call on the name of the Lord will be saved." And so it's not because we are better people than anyone else that God hears our prayers, but because God is merciful and generous. And so I encourage you in emergencies, in resuscitations, when your life may be in danger, to pray to God. And don't wait until that time. You can pray to God for help and wisdom today.